If I wanted to watch 2 hours of a guy slowly going crazy, I would just live stream my entire life and then watch the video. But instead I went to check out this week's movie that we're going to be talking about, and that's The Lighthouse. So I'm sorry to say that I didn't do anything super special and fancy for you guys. We're not in black and white. I didn't 1 by 1.34 box this episode. It's in regular 1920 by 1080, just like every other episode. And hey, if you're listening to the podcast, well, you wouldn't have known anyway, right? Now you may ask yourself, why is Rob even talking about that? Well, you clearly haven't seen anything about the movie I'm going to talk about this week, The Lighthouse. It seems this entire town that I have chosen to be a part of, Hollywood, is falling over itself to talk about how amazing this movie is. Well, luckily, this is not a Hollywood review. It's not a pretentious movie lover review. It's not a pretentious movie critic review. This is the Everyman Movie review, which means you're going to get the Everyman perspective, not any of those other perspectives. And I've heard from some of you, you've said, hey, 24 minutes for an episode, that's just entirely too long. Can't you wrap it up faster? You're going to get your wish this week, folks. Just wait. So let's get through the pleasantries first. The Lighthouse, directed by Robert Eggers, written by Max and Robert Eggers, starring Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, with a special appearance from Valeria Karaman, who you only see briefly, and if you saw the movie, you probably didn't even notice, but we'll get into who she is a little bit later. So what to say about this movie? I heard a lot of hype about it. Like, hey, it's shot in black and white. Hey, the film box is off. It's going to be a whole new perspective. Hey, there's a lot of silence. It's a slow burn. Well, you might have heard a couple of weeks ago me talking about how much I love a slow burn movie. This is not a slow burn movie. This is a movie watching a fuse slowly burn towards a big pile of TNT. And somewhere about 3/4, the way to the TNT, it just goes out. End of the movie. Usually I give a spoiler warning, but I don't even think I'm going to spoil anything about this movie. If I do, I will. I'm trying to think of anything specific, and there wasn't anything specific or really great about the movie. I should stop. Because, there are a lot of good things here, and I've watched other reviews, maybe you've watched other reviews of The Lighthouse, and I just get so upset when I see all the things that those folks are saying, because I don't know what movie it is that they saw. The only thing I can think is that they see all of the, critics and everyone talking about everything and how fantastic it is, and they said, well, I must not be smart enough to get it. There must be something there that I'm missing. This must be an amazing experience, and I just don't understand. Don't think so. I think that in this case, the king is just not wearing any clothes. This is one of those examples where someone has done really well in this town and was given the opportunity to just go make the movie they wanted. And they had everything that they could have asked for in order to do that. They had 2 fantastic actors. And if we're going to talk about positives for this movie, Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe did a fantastic job. Willem Dafoe is one of my favorite actors. When he just encompasses a character and falls into it, he takes it on. You are never going to find a better experience at the movies than that. Even when I think back to Spider-Man and how he was playing Norman Osborn and just the soft scariness of that character and how he brought it out the way that it was in the comics, the way that it was in the cartoon, and the way you didn't think you would be able to see it in real life. Just like we didn't think we would see J. Jonah Jameson be brought to life quite the way that he did. But he did such a great job with Norman Osborn. Every character he plays is exactly the same way. He just does something with these characters that makes you forget it's Willem Dafoe. And I did for a lot of that movie. And I don't want to fawn just over Willem Dafoe. Robert Pattinson did an amazing job. Robert Pattinson is, from Twilight fame, but he has done 2 fantastic movies one of which I did not see, and it's a tragedy. I'm going to rectify it. I'm going to watch it on streaming, and I'm going to do a review because I heard amazing things about his space movie. As you know, you heard in my Ad Astra review, I love a good space movie. I'm going to check it out, and I'm going to let you guys know whether or not it's worth your time. In this movie, he did another amazing job. It's a different character, it's something different than we've never seen him. He is not the guy from Twilight in this movie. He is a complex and dark character, and it's everything you could possibly ask for. Throwing these two into a closed environment like an island where they can't go anywhere, everything has to happen right here. You could not ask for more. And let's talk a minute about the island. There's this spit of rock with a lighthouse on it, and the lighthouse itself is welcoming, but at the same time spooky, and at the same time harsh, and there's all of these tasks that need to be done, and you couldn't ask for a better place to shoot. You couldn't ask for a better setting for a plot. Those actors and that setting and the ability to just basically do whatever you want, this movie turns out to be a big fat goose egg. And I'm not quite sure how that happened. I think the only thing we can do is to blame the script, and as little credit as scriptwriters, as screenwriters get in this town. Trust me, I know. Written a few screenplays myself. The script can be so important when it comes to the finished product, and I think this is a great example. It's also a really good example of maybe when you write the screenplay, you shouldn't also direct. Maybe there's just too many pieces there, and you need the different perspectives for someone to just stand up and say, hey, maybe we don't have it yet. Maybe we need to work on this just a bit more. Because maybe we're about to make people sit through 2 hours of a movie where nothing really happens. And I mean, that's probably too harsh too. That there is a lot of great moments in this movie. There's a lot of great interpersonal moments between those characters, the things they say to each other, and the experiences they have. It's a lot like a vaudeville show. All of these things are happening. They don't really seem to tie together. You know, I said there weren't going to be spoilers, but you know what? I do want to take just a minute and talk about a few specific details from the movie. So go ahead and go down to the next time below because the spoilers are going to start right now. So listen, I'm not going to say that there weren't a few things. There were a few things that caught me by surprise, a few things that were pretty great about this movie. But then there were a few cheap thrills. The thing with the bird, the seagull. Now, I think that had potential for so much, right? Like there was so much they could have done with that little exchange. And why didn't they? What was missing about that? I wanted it to be so much more, and I feel like there could have been more. There was like one incident, and then two, and then wham, he's banging him up against the side of the cistern. Where's the slow burn? You're making us sit through this thing for 2 hours, and you can't let that develop a little more? Willem Dafoe gives him one warning and is very stern about it, and then next thing you know, he's killing the bird, and I get that maybe the message there is that's to blame for everything that comes afterward. Listen, I'm not dumb. I understand that maybe they were trying to give us an inkling toward these things. They didn't do a very good job. It wasn't obvious enough that that's what they intended, and it leaves me saying, am I a 10th grade English teacher making more of a story than there actually was? And that's not really a slight toward the English teachers. I just feel like as a writer, I think people read way more in than I actually intend. And then some writers just like go with it and say, oh yes, of course, that was my secret thematic element. Like, no, it wasn't, man. You wrote a story and now people are reading into it way more than you ever really intended. But I mean, aside from the seagull thing, just, you know, there was that moment at the top of the lighthouse where he's like standing there naked and Pattinson like sneaks up and all of a sudden there's this like tentacle, right? There's a tentacle out of nowhere. And what is that? What is that supposed to be? We talk about it only one more time later when, to Pattinson's eyes, Willem Dafoe turns into Neptune, the sea god. You know, he has the tentacles wrapped around his throat. And like, this reminds me of a lot of early movies that I've seen. Like, when I say early, I mean 30s movies, where they're still figuring out what this thing is, what these movies are, and how to tell a story. And when they figure out how to do something, they throw it in because they want to do it, because they know how to do it, even if it doesn't really fit the script. And I feel like that's what this movie was. It was a 1930s movie shot in 4K and 2 hours long, which nobody in the 30s would have ever done to people going to the theater. And I mean, the him snapping at the end, and you know, there's like he puts Dafoe digs a grave at some point, and you know, forces him in, and you know, when did he have time to dig that grave? Where did that come from? And then like, who's dead? Who's not? Storm coming in, floods the house. Like, it's too much, and yet at the same time, not enough. Like, I don't even know if any of the things I just talked about would actually spoil the movie for anybody, because does any of that really have anything to do with the movie? Well, I think it's probably the best parts of the movie, and that's why I treated it like a spoiler, because if it's the best part, I don't want to ruin it for you if you do decide to go see it. Right? Well, anyway, we're going to wrap this thing up. So let's go ahead and bring everybody back in. So we're going to end the spoilers and bring everybody back right now. So yeah, I mean, I wished I had more to say about this. You know, I went to the film with Corey Baker, the other half of Oh the Anthem. Thank God we don't talk about movies like this on the podcast, because we would just get into a 2-hour-long argument that would never end. But new episodes of the podcast are the Anthem every Tuesday. Make sure you check that out. But yeah, he loved it. And I kept trying to prod him and poke him and say, why do you love it so much? What was it about it that you loved? And he didn't have a great answer for me. And I fear that Corey may be one of those pretenders. Maybe he's one of those court liaisons who's just saying, oh, sir, oh my, what a beautiful set of clothes, when the king's just standing there naked. So if you haven't gotten the hint thus far, I'm going to go ahead and tell you to skip The Lighthouse. Listen, if you got a couple hours to burn and, maybe you're cleaning the house, you want to have something on in the background, it's not going to matter if you miss some points of this movie. Backing up forward, you're not really going to know what you missed or what you didn't. It's worthwhile to see because there are some interesting things, sure. There's some of the shots are really well done. Again, the dialogue, I think some parts of the dialogue were really well done. The acting was fantastic. Those two together are just magic, and I really want to see them do something else again. Overall, as a movie, I mean, I don't know if I can even call it a movie. It wasn't a movie experience. I was angry leaving the theater that I had spent 2 hours of my life, and thankfully none of my money, going to see this. I cannot recommend that anyone go see this movie and waste their hard-earned money and their time on this particular film. So skip it. Like I said, if you're at home and it's on streaming and you want to take a little time while you're doing something else, sure. Then maybe it's worth it, but that is the only extent. Go on YouTube and find somebody who has put the 10 best moments from The Lighthouse on a YouTube video and just watch that. And that's all you're going to need. And you know what? If you really want this kind of movie, that kind of 30s feeling movie, that like epic shots and monologuing at each other and all those kind of things, I can recommend a lot of better movies for you to see. Don't waste your time. Skip The Lighthouse. That's my recommendation. Well, there you have it. Yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Reviews in the books. At the top here, I want to thank my patrons. I would not be able to do this without you guys. I just went over to B&H and I got some brand new equipment, and that is all thanks to the support that I get from you. So thank you guys so very much. I can't say it enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And hey, do you want to be one of my patrons? Do you want to support all of the new projects that I have going on? It is super easy. Go on over to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. You can donate at any level, even as little as $1 a month. That gets you access, and you'll be able to catch up to everything that I am working on. They get early access to all the videos. They get access to the books. They get thank yous in the books, thank yous in the videos. Everything that I produce, I make sure and get it to them early, and I make sure to thank them during the process. So go on over to patreon.com, patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, and become one of my supporters. Let me know that you have a vested interest in the things that I'm working on. And of course, you can find me for free on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. That's going to be on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Snapchat, over on TikTok, where I got some new videos coming. My new favorite thing is to make memes with my nephew. You are not going to want to miss that. So at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. And of course, make sure you're checking out robertncheek.com. That's where you're always going to find the latest updates to what's going on, what projects I'm working on, and what I have cooking that maybe nobody else knows about. You can sign up for the email list there, and of course, directions to Patreon, directions to Oh the Anthem, directions to everything that I have going on. That'll all be located right there. Finally, you're probably watching this video on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob Cheek, but don't forget it's also available in podcast form over at anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews. Now, at that link, you'll be able to find any of your sources of podcasts, where it's on Apple or Google or Pocket Cast or Dogcatcher, Stitcher, everywhere. Just go to anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews and you'll be able to find your link so you can have it on your podcatcher of choice. And of course, the shows are very similar, but there are a few very key differences. So if you do want to check out the podcast, make sure you go to anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews. You can throw another / in front, put message. It'll let you leave a voicemail for me, and with your permission, I'll actually use those on the show. You'll also hear some promos that they don't hear here on YouTube, but people on YouTube, you guys will get some stuff that they don't get on Anchor. So maybe check out both, huh? How about that? But however you consume your content, I've got it for you. Podcast, video, you'll be able to find it. So thank you guys once again for joining me. Look for the next episode coming very soon. New episodes every Thursday, on the dot, no matter what. And another episode sometime in the week in between. Of course, I'm also working on the next episode of Rob Explains Everything. I'm thinking the Mandela Effect. So if you don't know what that is, make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know when I update with my latest episode. A lot of stuff going on for me, a lot of stuff going on for you. So I appreciate you taking the time to check out this episode of the Everyman Movie Reviews. So until next time, thank you guys for joining me and have a great week, everybody.